On a beautiful sunny day, a man named Lee Abbott embarks on a trip to a supermarket with the intention of purchasing oranges for his family. After completing the transaction, he makes his way to a park where he finds his wife, Evelyn, watching their son, Marcus, engaged in a game of baseball. Lee takes a seat with his deaf daughter, Reagan, and their friend Emmett, who has also brought his own children to the park. The baseball game holds everyone's attention until, out of nowhere, an enormous meteor materializes in the sky, diverting everyone's focus. The game concludes abruptly, and people start making their way back home. However, to their shock, massive alien-like creatures appear, unleashing chaos upon the unsuspecting crowd. The aliens swiftly kill and devour several individuals. Lee, accompanying Reagan, attempts to comprehend the unfolding nightmare and communicates with a police officer. Simultaneously, an alien attacks a nearby car, leaving Lee and Reagan terrified. In a desperate effort to protect his daughter, Lee seeks refuge in a store, where they huddle in silence with other terrified survivors. Tragically, a ringing cell phone disrupts the silence, drawing the attention of an alien that rapidly invades the store, creating havoc. Lee and Reagan manage to escape through a back door, but the alien relentlessly pursues them. After some time, they reunite with Evelyn and the children, finding a hiding spot. The alien comes dangerously close, but a courageous police officer attempts to fend it off with gunfire. Unfortunately, the bullets prove inadequate, and the officer loses his life in the process. The narrative then leaps forward to day 473 following the initial incident, which corresponds to the conclusion of Part 1. In the present, the Abbott family leaves behind their ruined home, now accompanied by a newborn baby boy. We learn that Lee sacrificed himself to save Marcus and Reagan from an alien, and that their youngest child, Beau, perished on day 89 when his noisy toy rocket attracted an alien. The family embarks on a journey along a sandy path marked by Lee, hoping to locate a more secure hiding place. Evelyn carries the baby in a soundproof trunk, wrapped in blankets with an oxygen cylinder connected. After hours of walking, they encounter a fenced area with a small gap. Evelyn cautiously navigates through, but her bag becomes snagged, generating a minor noise. She glances back with concern and inadvertently triggers a tripwire, causing a cascade of bottles to fall and create a loud sound. Hearing this, she urgently instructs her children to run. Simultaneously, an observer armed with a gun watches the family. The commotion from the falling bottles lures an alien, which charges toward them. Regrettably, during their escape, Marcus steps on a metal trap, seriously injuring his leg. He struggles to stifle his screams, but eventually cries out when he notices his wounded foot. Recognizing the imminent danger, Reagan promptly utilizes her hearing aids amp, microphone, and cochlear implant to generate a high-frequency noise, a weakness of the aliens revealed in the first part. The alien shrieks in agony as Evelyn puts it down with a shot to the head. The family races into an abandoned building nearby and continues to evade an approaching alien. Suddenly, the man who had been observing them seizes Evelyn, muffling her with his hand, and signals them to follow him. They move around a corner, and the man leads them to a soundproof bunker, securing the door. A towel placed over the latch dampens the noise and prevents it from locking on the outside. The bunker is soundproof and airtight, with sufficient oxygen to last an hour. Once in safety, the man explains that the family cannot stay due to the shortage of food and water. When Evelyn recognizes his voice, she immediately identifies him as Emmett. The man reveals his face by removing his scarf and baseball cap, confirming his identity as Emmett. When Evelyn inquires about his children, he sadly discloses that both his sons passed away on day 1, and his wife succumbed to illness 11 weeks ago. Perplexed, Evelyn asks why he didn't come to their aid, given their friendship. Emmett explains that after losing his own family, he lacked the strength to rescue others. As the conversation unfolds, Reagan approaches her brother, who is convalescing after receiving treatment for his injured ankle. She equips him with headphones to listen to radio white noise while scanning the frequencies. Marcus becomes alert upon hearing music on the radio, suggesting that someone nearby is transmitting a signal. However, Emmett dismisses it as the same song playing repeatedly. Reagan subsequently consults her father's diary and the map, concluding that the signal originates from a nearby island, approximately a day's journey away. In the middle of the night, Reagan awakens Marcus, and they convene in the soundproof vault to discuss their plan. She attempts to persuade Marcus to help her locate the radio tower by tracking the railway tracks. Reagan's goal is to reach the station, enabling her to broadcast the high-frequency noise generated by her hearing aid, exposing the aliens' vulnerability. She believes this approach will allow anyone with a radio to emit the high-pitched noise and defend against the aliens, a significant step toward a safer existence. Although the little boy is initially hesitant due to the perceived danger, Reagan is determined to follow in her father's footsteps and give it her all. Consequently, she departs early the next morning, packing her belongings and setting off alone. Upon learning of Reagan's departure, Evelyn implores Emmett to go after her and bring her back. Emmett agrees without hesitation, asserting that he won't let another child die. In the meantime, Reagan stumbles upon a derelict train, and she makes her way to the front carriage. In the driver's cabin, she spots a first aid kit, though initially struggling to open it. After some effort, Reagan successfully secures the box, but accidentally triggers a cascade of bones from the deceased driver, causing her to scream. This sudden noise acts as a beacon for an alien, and Reagan finds herself trapped. Just as it seems her fate is sealed, Emmett arrives just in the nick of time, taking down the creature with a well-aimed shot. Following this close call, they take refuge in a nearby station office to avoid drawing any more aliens to their location. Emmett divulges his intention to take Reagan back home. Nevertheless, Reagan courageously asserts that she won't return until she locates the nearby radio station. She explains to Emmett that he couldn't have done anything to save his wife when she passed away, but now they have the opportunity to help others. Initially reluctant, Emmett eventually relents, moved by the unwavering determination of the young girl. Elsewhere, when Evelyn becomes aware that the oxygen cylinder is running low, she resolves to leave her children at an abandoned house to search for additional supplies. Marcus is understandably terrified and hesitant to let her go, but Evelyn insists that his injured foot will worsen and she cannot afford to lose another family member. After some time, Evelyn retraces the family's path along the sandy trail, retracing the same journey they took to the store on the fateful day 1 when Lee purchased oranges. She reaches the bridge where Bo tragically lost his life and pauses at the makeshift shrine there. Evelyn tenderly touches the images and leaves her wedding ring atop the cross, tears welling up in her eyes. Meanwhile, Marcus, left behind at the bunker, ventures out to explore the complex, ensuring that the baby is sound asleep back at their base. He stumbles upon a room filled with artwork crafted by Emmett's sons. Continuing upstairs, he encounters the partially decomposed body of a woman, likely Emmett's wife, hidden behind curtains in part of the room. This unexpected discovery startles him, leading to an inadvertent disturbance of objects and subsequently alerting an alien to his presence. Frightened, Marcus hastily returns to the basement, retrieves the baby, and places him in the soundproof vault. However, when he ventures back outside, he inadvertently leaves the door unlocked and, unbeknownst to him, the towel no longer covers the latch, causing the door to lock from the outside. As evening falls, Reagan and Emmett make their way to a harbor in search of a boat to transport them to the island. Surprisingly, they encounter a distressed young girl at the end of a bridge. When Emmett offers assistance, the girl unexpectedly ensnares him with a noose. Suddenly, a group of feral individuals emerges, capturing Emmett and rifling through Reagan's belongings, confiscating her hearing aid. They then lead Reagan away. At this point, Emmett realizes that they are in grave peril and devises a daring plan. He signals to the young girl to plunge into the water and manages to free himself from his restraints. Subsequently, he raises his voice intentionally and confronts the man who had stolen Reagan's hearing aid. As expected, the commotion draws the attention of the aliens, who launch an attack on the harbor, resulting in the deaths of several men. An alien approaches Emmett while he clutches the man, but, through quick thinking, Emmett leaps into the water, leaving the malefactor to face the alien. Upon hearing Emmett in the water, the alien dives in pursuit but struggles, ultimately drowning due to its inability to swim. This revelation makes Emmett realize that the creatures have yet another weakness. In the subsequent scene, the two manage to find a boat and board it. Emmett returns Reagan's hearing aid, which he concealed inside his mouth. After removing the ropes binding them, they set a course for the island. Meanwhile, an alien is depicted stuck atop a boat that has become detached from the docks. Back at the base, Marcus grapples with labored breathing and realizes that he must unlock the door. Despite his efforts, he ultimately resigns in despair. Simultaneously, as he opens the baby's trunk, he discovers the infant crying. With no other choice, he shares his oxygen with the baby until it finally falls asleep. Meanwhile, Evelyn returns to the base and hears a loud screech from an alien. Driven by motherly instinct, she embarks on a perilous mission to save her children. Evelyn attempts to eliminate the alien with an oxygen tank, but the creature escapes unharmed. However, the explosion triggers the activation of the fire sprinklers. Guided by the sound of the sprinklers, Evelyn manages to bypass the alien and safely return to the basement. In the subsequent scene, Reagan and Emmett reach the island, where they discover a secluded colony of people leading relatively normal lives. Emmett engages in conversation with a man who elucidates that the National Guard was deployed to the islands as soon as authorities realized that the monsters were unable to swim. The following morning, as Emmett heads to the seashore, he notices the wrecked boat, which previously bore an alien. Overwhelmed by fear, he hurries to warn the people, but it proves too late. The creature embarks on a rampage, claiming several lives. Emmett and Reagan, after saving a young baby boy, successfully make their way to the radio station. They also manage to lure the creature behind them using a car horn. Regrettably, the alien seizes the island man's leg through an opening and drags him outside. Helpless to assist him, the remaining two rush toward the broadcasting station. However, their challenges do not conclude there. The stubborn creature continues to pursue them and even manages to wound Emmett with its claws. Nevertheless, as it closes in on Reagan, she successfully employs her hearing aid's sound within the station, emitting a piercing, high-pitched frequency that weakens the creature. Seizing this opportunity, Reagan dispatches the alien with a metal pole, while Emmett, wounded and seated against the wall, witnesses her heroic act. Back at the base, an alien is menacing Evelyn, who cradles the baby in her arms. At that very moment, the same frequency plays on the radio. Marcus picks up the transmission and uses it to debilitate the alien before neutralizing it with Evelyn's revolver. In the final scene, Reagan removes the metal pole from the alien's lifeless body, wearing a smile. She then places her hearing aid on the station's microphone, allowing anyone to access the frequency and eliminate the aliens. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and give us a thumbs up to help out the channel. Thank you for watching.